No man is free who is not master of himself. Epictetus. Let's start with that. Not because it sounds wise, but because it slices through the noise like a blade. In today's world, men are surrounded by expectations, some spoken, most implied. You're expected to please, to chase, to provide, to bend, and the moment you hesitate, you're labeled cold, toxic, or worse, irrelevant. But what if all of that is a trap? Epictetus wasn't a king. He wasn't born rich. He was a slave. And yet, from that place of powerlessness, he found the kind of freedom that most men never touch, not because they can't, but because they won't. They won't face the truth. And the truth is this: if you keep giving your power away to women who haven't earned it, you're not living, you're performing. Let's flip the script from the start. Most modern men think that strength is about getting the girl, keeping the peace, and always knowing what to say. But Epictetus reminds us, real strength is the ability to not need anything you cannot control. That's why the first thing a man must stop doing with a woman is this: stop handing her your peace like it's nothing. Epictetus once wrote, "If a man gave your body to any stranger he met on his way, you would certainly be angry. But you hand over your mind to anyone who comes along. Have you no shame in that? Sit with that. You wouldn't let a random man on the street walk off with your car. But every day, you let a woman's silence wreck your mood. You let her moods dictate your confidence. You scroll your messages like a gambler checking the results. Did she reply? Was it a heart emoji or just a thumbs up? And in that moment, you're not a man. You're not even a partner. You're a puppet, waiting to be pulled. But here's the thing. Epictetus didn't shame men for caring. He shamed them for forgetting what belongs to them: their judgment, their reaction, and their stillness. When you allow your inner weather to shift every time a woman blinks differently, you're no longer sovereign. You're owned. So ask yourself, if she doesn't text back, what does that truly cost you? Nothing, unless you make it everything. Never let her moods become your compass. There's a dangerous habit men fall into. You start adjusting your tone, your pace, and your decisions just to keep her in a good mood. She's upset, so you go quiet. She's distant, so you overcompensate. She criticizes, and you internalize it. And here's where the Stoic slaps you across the face. It is not events that disturb us, but our judgment about them. Epictetus didn't say, avoid toxic people. He said, control how you let their behavior impact you. So if she's yelling, let her. If she walks out, hold the door. If she withholds love to manipulate you, walk the hell away. Not because you're trying to teach her a lesson, but because you finally learned your own. You are not her emotional thermostat. You are not the anchor that keeps her storms at bay. If she chooses chaos, don't dive in to save her. Let her swim in it. Your job is to stay grounded, unshaken. Because the moment you trade your peace for her approval, you're not a man in love. You're a man on trial. And she's the jury you never asked for. Don't perform. Embody. Men today confuse performance with power. You post your gym pics. You memorize texts that increase attraction. You study her attachment style like it's a final exam. But underneath it all, you're still scared. Scared of being left. Scared of being rejected. Scared of being alone. Epictetus doesn't hand out gold stars for effort. He says, don't explain your philosophy. Embody it. Stop talking about self-respect. Start living it. Stop promising to have standards. Start defending them. And if you feel like you're losing a woman because of it, good. You just gained yourself. You were not born to shrink yourself to fit her comfort zone. You were born to expand into your highest form, with or without her applause. If your love demands that you be quiet, agreeable, apologetic, then what you've found isn't love. It's manipulation, dressed in affection. Never chase closure from someone who thrives on confusion. Here's a hard truth. Most of your pain doesn't come from what she did. It comes from your need to understand why she did it. She left. She ghosted. She cheated. And now you're stuck in the loop. But what did I do wrong? What could I have done differently? And Epictetus is standing there, arms crossed, waiting for you to get it. We are disturbed not by what happens to us, but by our thoughts about what happens. Stop digging for reasons that don't exist. Stop asking questions that are just code for, please validate me. You don't need closure. You need clarity. The clarity to walk away with your soul intact and your dignity unbent. The most dangerous thing a man can do is try to fix a woman who doesn't want to be fixed, because in trying to save her, you drown. Don't trade your masculinity for a moment of her approval. This is where most men collapse. You think that being sensitive means being agreeable. You think that strength looks like enduring her mood swings without flinching. You become so obsessed with being a good man that you stop being an honest one. You say yes when you mean no. You laugh at jokes you don't like. You accept behavior you once swore you'd never tolerate. And then you wonder why you feel hollow inside. It's not because you're not enough. It's because you betrayed who you are just to keep someone who never deserved you. Epictetus says, first say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do. Not what you have to say, not what she wants you to do. You said you wanted peace. Then why do you chase chaos in heels? You said you wanted a queen. Then why do you tolerate a tyrant in your bed? You said you were a man. Then act like one. And no, being a man does not mean controlling others. It means refusing to be controlled, especially by emotions that aren't yours, especially by someone who thrives when you shrink. Let's pick up where we left off, at the edge of something most men never fully face. Emotional slavery. Now don't let the term scare you. We're not talking about chains and dungeons. We're talking about the invisible leash of approval, the silent agreement you've made to give her power over your mind, your schedule, your confidence, just so you can feel like a man. But Epictetus would ask you, freedom is the only worthy goal in life. It is won by disregarding things that lie beyond our control. And the problem is, most men chase love like it's an investment that will eventually pay off. But here's the thing, you can't love clearly when you're afraid to be alone. Stop trying to fix her. It's not noble. It's narcissism in disguise. Let's unpack one of the most misunderstood behaviors in modern men, the savior complex. You think you're doing something virtuous by staying. You tell yourself, she's just been hurt before, or she's never had a real man, and you take it upon yourself to be her emotional mechanic. But Epictetus would look at you and say, a man can't learn what he thinks he already knows. You think you know what she needs. You think your patience will heal her. But you've become addicted to her potential, not her reality. She doesn't need a therapist she didn't ask for. And you don't need a project that bleeds you dry. Men spend years slowly shrinking inside relationships they should have left in months. Why? Because they confuse struggle with loyalty. They believe that being walked on is just a phase. But when your masculinity is only appreciated when it's silent, soft, and submissive, you've become an accessory to her dysfunction. Let me say it plain. You are not her rehab. Never argue for your worth. This one stings, because every man, deep down, has done it. You get into a situation where she's cold, dismissive, maybe even cruel. And instead of walking away, what do? You explain yourself. You justify. You tell her all the things you've done, the sacrifices you've made, the reasons you deserve to be treated better. But here's the catch. The moment you argue for your value, you've already lost it. Epictetus put it bluntly. When someone acts badly toward you, remember that he does so from an impression that it is right to do so. He follows what seems right to him. In other words, she doesn't mistreat you because you're worthless. She mistreats you because she sees no value. And if that's how she sees the world, nothing you say will ever change it. So stop pleading for respect. A lion never begs a sheep to be feared. He just walks away. Don't let her become your judge, your therapist, or your god. This part is subtle. It doesn't happen all at once. It happens slowly. You start asking her opinion before you make decisions. You censor your words to avoid arguments. You wait for her mood to determine your next move. Suddenly, you're not in a relationship. You're in a courtroom. She's the judge, and every day you're presenting evidence. Look how patient I am. Look how nice I've been. Please validate me. But Epictetus warns, it is not he who gives abuse or blows who insults you, but your opinion that these things are insulting. What does that mean? It means you've decided to interpret her disapproval as evidence that you're wrong, broken, or bad. But what if her disapproval means nothing at all? What if she's projecting her chaos onto you, and you're just too desperate for affection to see it? Brother, you were not put here to be a mirror for someone else's storm. You were meant to be a mountain, still, calm, unmoved. Stop asking for permission to be a man. Modern men have been conditioned to wait. Wait to be told they're enough. Wait to be called strong. Wait to be asked to lead. And the longer you wait, the more you forget. You never needed permission in the first place. Epictetus didn't wait to be seen. He didn't need applause. He said, "Seek not for events to happen as you wish, but wish them to happen as they do, and you will go on well." This isn't passive. This is the deepest form of inner power. To live without asking for life to bend to you. To be unmoved even when she walks away. To hold your course even when no one claps. You don't need her to say you're valuable. You need to act like it. Consistently. Quietly. Without a show. And if she can't handle it, let her leave. A man should never betray himself to be loved by her. This is the final sin. The one that breaks most men. You fall for her beauty, her energy, her promise. But slowly, to keep her, you start bending. At first, it's minor. You skip a workout. Cancel plans with your brothers. Let something disrespectful slide. But it builds. Before long, you don't even recognize the man in the mirror. You're saying yes to things you hate. You're holding back your truth. You're smiling through emotional blackmail. And then you wake up one morning, in a house you don't want to be in, next to someone you don't respect, with a version of yourself you barely recognize. That's not love. That's self-betrayal. Epictetus would not pity you. He'd correct you. No great thing is created suddenly. There must be time. Give your best, and the rest is not yours to command. You want a love that respects your strength? Then build it by not abandoning it. Stop chasing a woman who only loves you when you're convenient. Stop trying to win her back when she never truly chose the real you to begin with. Let's land this plane with the most brutal truth of all. Most men aren't destroyed by women. They're destroyed by what they gave up to be loved by them. Now that might sound harsh, but let's go back to what Epictetus, a man born into slavery, understood better than anyone. It is better to die of hunger exempt from grief and fear than to live in affluence with perturbation. What does this mean? Better to be alone with your soul intact than partnered in chaos and regret. The world will lie to you. It'll tell you that if you're not in love, you're losing. That if you don't have a partner, you're incomplete. But the truth? A man without a woman who keeps his clarity is more powerful than a man with a woman who has lost his center. Never abandon your mission for a moment of intimacy. There are men out there who had vision, focus, purpose, and then she came along. And at first, it felt like a miracle. The affection, the desire, the thrill of being seen. But it always comes at a price. Slowly, the mission gets put on hold. The business becomes our thing now. The gym gets skipped. The meditation gets sloppy. The nights once filled with vision become movie marathons and compromise. And the man fades. Not because she asked him to, but because he allowed it. And Epictetus would have looked him in the eyes and said, "You were not born to serve a throne that sits on shifting moods. You were born to build a kingdom within, unmoved, unbroken, unbought." You see, a man without a mission becomes vulnerable to distraction. And the worst kind of distraction is the one that feels like love but functions like sabotage. If she requires you to dim your fire to keep her close, that's not love. It's dependency wrapped in perfume. Never make her your reason. Let her be your witness. Too many men say things like, "She's my reason for living. She's my whole world. She's the best thing that ever happened to me." But that's the language of a man who's forgotten he had a life before she arrived. She can be your joy, your inspiration, your lover. But she must never be your reason. Why? Because if she becomes your reason, you're finished the moment she leaves. And that's not love, that's emotional gambling. A Stoic doesn't bet his soul on the tides of another person. A Stoic builds his meaning from within. The man who tries too hard to win her approval will never win her respect. Epictetus in spirit. Because when you revolve your life around her, she doesn't see a leader. She sees a servant. And no woman truly respects a man who has no direction of his own. Let her witness your mission. Do not replace it. Stop thinking every beautiful woman is a blessing. This one might shock you. But some of the most dangerous storms come wrapped in a smile. Beauty is not a promise. It's not a personality. It's not proof of value. Some beautiful women are blessings, yes. But some are tests. Some are mirrors. And some are storms sent to drown whatever strength in you is still soft and unclaimed. You were not put on this earth to orbit a woman's affection. You were put here to stand firm in your truth. How many times have you said yes when your soul screamed no? How many times have you apologized just to calm her down? How many times have you broken your code just to keep her from walking? If the answer is more than once, you are not in love. You are in captivity. And until you see that, you'll keep attracting pain disguised as passion. Don't confuse being desired with being respected. One of the sneakiest traps for men is this. You mistake her attraction for actual admiration. She might want your body. She might crave your presence. She might miss you when you're gone. But does she respect how you live? Does she honor your values? Does she admire the way you move through life? Because if she doesn't, then all the desire in the world is just a temporary high before the crash. And Epictetus would challenge you. Do not seek to be wise in the eyes of others. Seek to be truly wise. In other words, stop chasing approval, especially sexual approval. Because if her desire is built on how well you play the game, then the moment you stop performing, you're replaceable. But when a woman respects who you are at your core, that's when love becomes real. That's when loyalty becomes natural. That's when partnership becomes possible. Stop calling fear patience. A lot of men lie to themselves. They say, I'm just being patient with her. I'm giving her time. She'll come around. But if you peeled back the language, what you'd find isn't patience. It's fear. Fear of walking away. Fear of starting over. Fear of not being enough. But a man rooted in Stoic fire doesn't fear loss. He doesn't negotiate with uncertainty. He doesn't settle for chaos because he's afraid of being alone. He walks away from anything that costs him his clarity. You are not cold for protecting your heart. You are not broken for refusing to be used. And you are not lost just because you've stopped clinging. Epictetus, through modern eyes. Let go, not just of her, but of the part of you that believed your worth was measured by her willingness to stay. Never negotiate your standards for affection. This is the final test, and most men fail it. You say, I want a woman who respects me. But you stay with one who disrespects you. You say, I'll never tolerate cheating. But when she does, you explain it away. You say, my boundaries are firm. But you bend them every time you feel her slipping. Brother, that's not love. That's addiction. Epictetus taught us, act with discipline in all things. What truly belongs to you cannot be taken. What belongs to you? Your values, your discipline, your damn spine. The moment you abandon those things to be liked, loved, or tolerated, you've already lost the most important thing, yourself. Let me leave you with this final truth. You are not here to be understood. You are here to be unshaken. Let her call you cold. Let her say you're too intense. Let the world misunderstand your silence, your standards, your strength. Because a man who refuses to betray himself becomes dangerous, not to women, but to the illusions that kept him small. He no longer begs. He no longer chases. He no longer proves. He walks. He decides. He stands. And that is the true essence of Stoic power. Epictetus gave us the blueprint, but the path must be walked. In silence, in strength, in sovereignty. So if this message stirred something in you, don't ignore it. That's the ancient fire trying to wake you up. Let it burn everything that's not you, and build from what remains. Unshaken, unbroken, unbought. Because when a man who never betrays himself, he will lose nothing worth keeping.